It happened in the crowded hallway between third and fourth period, the spot where students usually shoved past each other, eyes down, backpacks bouncing, all desperate to reach class before the bell. But that day, everything froze. A single hand moved where it never should have, and in an instant, the entire hallway shifted. Maya had always walked alone. The quiet girl with long black hair pulled into a low ponytail, earbuds in, gaze fixed on the floor. Not because she was scared, because she chose silence over pointless noise. Nobody truly knew her. Most just whispered that she was shy, maybe fragile, maybe someone who wouldn't fight back. They couldn't have been more wrong. So when Josh Westbrook, High's self-appointed king, decided to cross the line, his cocky laughter boomed down the hall like he owned it. His friends snickered behind him, slapping his shoulders, acting like the whole thing was a big joke. Not one of them had a clue who they were messing with. They didn't know Maya had spent 6 years training in Krav Maga and Muay Thai. They didn't know her mum was an ex-special forces instructor who believed her daughter should grow up ready for a world that didn't always play fair. But even with all that training, what hit Maya hardest wasn't the threat itself. It was something deeper, something sharp and burning that knotted in her stomach. It wasn't just the unwanted touch. It was the humiliation, the way the hallway buzzed with whispers, the way people glanced at her, then quickly looked away, too scared to speak, too unsure to step in, too willing to pretend nothing happened. Her pulse hammered, her breath cut short, and for the first time in a long time, the quiet girl lifted her head, but her mind was steady, cold, laser dash, focused, without even turning fully around. Maya caught Josh's wrist, the same wrist that had crossed the line, and twisted it with a speed and precision that didn't match her quiet reputation. His knees collapsed instantly. His laugh died in his throat like someone had ripped the sound out of him. I'm going to give you 1 second to apologize, she whispered, her voice low and eerily calm. Her eyes locked onto his, sharp enough to cut through his bravado, sharp enough to make him forget how to breathe. Behind him, his friends gave awkward, shaky laughs, still pretending this was some kind of joke. Maya didn't play along. She wrenched his wrist back even farther. A crack allowed, sharp, impossible to ignore, napped through the hallway like a breaking branch. Josh screamed, and suddenly, nobody was laughing. Students froze mid-step, backpacks dropped, a wave of gasps rolled through the hall, phones lifted in unison, catching shaky videos that would spread across social media before the final bell even rang. But no recording could capture what that moment felt like. The electricity, the shock, the realization that the quiet girl wasn't who they thought she was. This wasn't just a fight, it was a statement, a warning, a line drawn so clearly. Everyone felt it. You don't get to touch people like that, Maya said, her voice ringing through the silence. Ever. Security rushed toward them, teachers shouted her name, but it was already over. The damage had been done. Not to Maya, to Josh's entire kingdom. The king of Westbrook had been taken down by the girl he never even saw. Minutes later, the principal demanded Maya in the office. They tried to lecture her about appropriate responses, about school policy, but Maya barely heard them because her mother was already there, standing behind her, arms folded, eyes blazing with a pride she didn't bother to hide. My daughter defended herself, she said, calmly, and we're not sorry. For days afterward, the entire school buzzed with whispers, rumors, and replayed videos. Some students whispered that Maya had gone too far. Others, mostly girls, approached her quietly, almost timidly, like they were finally stepping out of the shadows. They thanked her. They told her about moments when hands had brushed where they shouldn't have, or comments had been made that left them frozen, and how they'd stayed silent because fear felt louder than their voice. Maya listened to every word. She didn't brag. She didn't post videos. She didn't try to be a hero. She just kept walking into school every morning, with her chin lifted. Something had shifted, not just for her, but for every girl who had ever felt small in that hallway. Josh's friends learned fast. Their jokes disappeared. Their wandering hands stayed exactly where they belonged, and Josh's cast would eventually come off. His bruised ego would eventually fade. But the lesson that would stay with him for the rest of his life. For Maya, the real battle wasn't the moment in the hallway, it was everything that came after. The stares, the rumors whispered behind lockers, the labels people tried to slap onto her like they knew her story. But she stood her ground because she understood something most people didn't. Nothing changes unless someone is willing to take the hit, stand tall, and force the world to look at itself. In the weeks that followed, the school scrambled to respond. Guest speakers were brought in. Consent workshops were scheduled. Suddenly, everyone wanted to talk about boundaries and respect. Students began speaking up whenever they saw someone being harassed, not turning away, not pretending they didn't notice. For the first time, silence wasn't the default. Maya didn't suddenly become popular. She didn't need to. What she earned was far more important. Respect, real, quiet, steady respect. And in the calm moments after school, when she stood in the gym wrapping her hands for training, the smell of leather and chalk filling the air, she would hear her mother's voice echo in her mind. The strongest fighters aren't the ones who throw the most punches. They're the ones who teach the world not to throw the first one. Maya never set out to be anyone's hero. She never wanted attention or praise or viral videos. But sometimes heroes don't choose the moment chooses them. And in that hallway, on that day, Maya became one anyway.